Hi, everyone. Welcoming everyone to a separate special edition today. We didn't do it on Tuesday because of the Jewish holidays, which go back to our regular schedule next week. I am so happy to have Andy Foote here from Chicago, and I wanted to make sure Andy felt at home. So, of course, I got him his Rice Krispies. A little bit of an inside joke. I think, Andy, during the pandemic, there was a shortage of Rice Krispies, and it was hard for you to get them in Chicago.
Yeah, it was super strange because of all of the shortages, one could not predict Rice Krispies to be absent for weeks, perhaps months, and not for me personally. Although I will partake in
Hmm.
the odd bowl of Rice Krispies. They are harmless enough, low sugar, fairly interesting texture. I don't mind soggy, but yeah, my daughter doesn't so much now, used to have them every morning. So it was like, what? How exactly does this happen? And then the
Right.
intro the interesting thing was, well, maybe this factory went offline and this one, specialized in production of that cereal. But
Hmm.
why did it go offline? I don't
No.
understand. So, these various supply chain hiccups and shocks, they came and entered our particular world. And I posted about it because,
Right.
why not, right? And because everything I post is an experiment.
Sure.
In one way or another, it's an experiment. And what I wanted to see from that was how it did as a post, and
Hmm.
it did better than I expected. And then the spin-off was, well, will I get any answers? Will I get
Hmm.
anyone saying, you know what, Andy, I am suffering from the exact same thing? So that was validation, right?
Right.
Because I know I can go to whatever, a handful of stores in my neighborhood, and okay, it's confirmed. There are no Rice Krispies in my particular
Mhm.
area, right? But how far does that supply chain issue expand? Who else is experiencing that? So I was somewhat relieved is probably not the right word, but it did explain to me that it wasn't just me. And the same thing happened this morning, Ken. Right?
Mhm.
I have Xfinity internet, and
Mhm.
basically I'm over a barrel. I don't have any other options. Uh, Even if I wanted to do Starlink, right, I would need clear sky. I'm basically in a forest, so that ain't going to work. Over the barrel with Comcast, intermittent internet outages. This morning was going on for hours. My wife and I both work from home, so
Mhm.
that's not going to work. We need to get that, that solid connection. So what I normally do is I go to my phone. It's on. It's not using Wi-Fi. I've got my phone service barely, and I check in with Amy, my neighbor. Amy says,
Mhm.
"Yep, it's out." So that makes me feel better. Just like, the Rice Krispie saga made me feel better because, okay, it's not just me. Because if it was just me, then I didn't need to get, Comcast out again and say, "Hey, what the heck is going on?"
I
Have
got. I'm
Having
sorry. I got to
replaced the
tell you
modem
that
and all that.
this was. I have Malamars on here for a reason. Now, this is a northeastern. It's chocolate covered marshmallows with graham cracker, but a little bit of the backstory. My best post of all time. We live in where I grew up. There was a Nabisco factory. They actually made the cookies, and when we went to school, we would smell the everything. We would our first field trip was to the Nabisco factory, where we actually got like samples, real samples, right out from Oreos and everything else. And last year, the factory shut down.
Oh,
Well, shut down because now it's not Nabisco anymore. It's, I think, Melendez or whatever the company is. So I wrote a story about it, and I got more views and more comments than anything else because it was just a remembering of what it was like to be growing up in Fairlawn with smelling the Nabisco and all that, and it had nothing to do with job search, had nothing to do with anything. So I know this is something we talk about a lot is personal posts or what type of posts work versus your brand, my brand. And I think we're both mad scientists tilting at windmills trying to figure stuff out because you never know what's going to go with a post or anything like that.
yeah. I mean, one of the issues is the huge amount of factors that could that could influence content on LinkedIn. So that's the main problem. Is it's a bit like when my dad was trying to teach me golf, the golf swing, right? There are so many different things that are going on at the same time. You might want to, you might see one thing that you can correct, and yet there are others that are still making you hook or slice. So similar thing with the algorithm, and of course it changes.
Sure.
I see Liam Darmody in comments. What is up, legends? Very nice. And then he's talking trash. He wastes no time in talking trash, saying that's a great shirt, Kenneth. Yours is decidedly average, Andy Foote, but your hair makes up for it as usual. So it's like it's casting, it's criticizing, and then it's like it's pulling back with the hair comment. I'll have to have words.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's changing all the time. Liam and I were chatting this morning. We chat often, and he was saying that he's kind of like bored with LinkedIn, and he's just not that enthusiastic at the moment, and so he had a week off. And I said, well, I'm going to have more than a week off. I'm just not going to give them any more free content. So I'm taking a leisurely break. And I also said it feels really good.
I know I struggle, and I think a lot of us do, with how much do we want to share? Why do we want to share? And I think, the bigger picture is we all have businesses, and there comes a point when you're basically giving LinkedIn all the content they need for a platform and doing it for them. And, I get so tired of seeing certain people's posts and certain comments, and it's not a fair game, but it is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, that's always been the bargain, isn't it? It's always been, all right, we'll give you the platform, we'll give you a certain amount of distribution of your content, and then in return, you'll give us regular, fresh content, and that's the deal that that we brokered, or rather they brokered, and we accepted. So when that deal doesn't seem to be working as well as it has in the past, then what can you do, right? You can either just keep on doing what you're doing and enjoying the process, not worrying too much about the results. Although, as you say, if we run a business, those results are clearly something that we keep a close eye on. But the alternative is what exactly is like, okay, if I don't continue to put my stuff out there and therefore my brand, then I'm essentially stopping the publicity, and I am, in a sense, I'm closing the door on potential new business, which is okay, less worrying if you have clients that are in a cycle with you. Let's say they're looking for something from you every month. They don't need to be continually impressed by your content game, because they've already been satisfied and persuaded that is something that you excel at, that you know your stuff. So you're missing out on the potential new business development if you decide to go in a huff with LinkedIn and say, nope, I don't like it anymore. You are not giving me what you used to give me, and therefore I throw my toys out of the pram, to use a British expression.
For me as a developer, and having that IT background, it absolutely kills me and frustrates me when I see some of the stuff that they do. Whether it's whether it's newsletters going into every Tom, Dick, and Harry that's out there, whether it's not being able to search for things, whether it's about changing things for the sake of changing them. And I understand that it's Microsoft and they're going to throw stuff out, but at some point, it's almost like this is not your father's LinkedIn. It's kind of how I look at it, because we had a different vision for the platform. But again, it is what it is. It just stinks that it is that way.
Yeah, I think it was I think it was Virginia Franco in our Laugh group, LinkedIn Action User Group Heroes on Facebook of all places. I think she mentioned something about, well, maybe it's just because we're jaded, and I know what she means by that. But I would categorize it as, the people the old hands that have been on LinkedIn for years now, with the benefit of hindsight. So they're seeing, the things that have gone before. They've seen perhaps the heyday. Things working really well, and by things you can define things, and we can go in different directions, and then you compare it and contrast with today, where there's this tidal wave of personal content, which is not for everyone, and then you see several people in our sphere who are building their own, as I say, membership societies, where they're saying, okay, look, if you want more of the good stuff in terms of content, in addition to the networking, so in other words, community, then come on over, and for a small monthly, yearly fee, you get all of that. Then what's left, right, for them? Are they going to continue pushing out value content? No, they're not going to do that. They're going to leave that. They're going to start siphoning that or putting that out in their membership community. What's left is perhaps advertising. So, in other words, well, look, if you want more of the value content and the community, then please come on over. There's still some spaces left. That scarcity argument, used to good effect. I see it all the time. So that advertising is going to hit you cold if you're not interested. If you're never going to join those membership communities, that's just advertising. So it's like you're going to dismiss that. And then what about the shiny new toys category? Well, shiny new toys has to be carousel when it comes. All right, so that'll be interesting. Play around with that perhaps once I come off my sabbatical, whatever you want to call it, my long holiday. And then there's LinkedIn Audio, which is still beset with issues. Last time I was on it, there were all kinds of problems still. That's significant because it's supposedly out of beta. Now, if it's still got bugs, then was it taken out of beta too early? What happened there? And there's still discoverability issues. There's still, I think they recently announced, or they recently let someone have the ability to co-host, which should have been there from the outset, frankly. It's a question of them not eating their own dog food if they don't understand how the basic way that an audio room runs. And then there was a piece I saw from LinkedIn recently, which was all about, oh, look how easy it is. It's 1, 2, 3. It's 4 steps to start an audio room. No, it's not. It's still 12. So don't give us that nonsense. It's still 12 when it should just be sliding a button and starting a room, right? It shouldn't never have been an event. It should have just been, hey, it's a conversation that I want to run now, or I want to run on a regular basis. Therefore, here's my template, good to go, and I can do all of that in seconds. None of this, 12-step nonsense.
Well, I know that a bunch of us are going to be testing the company page with the LinkedIn Audio, and it's going to be beset with certain challenges too. I just go to some very basic things. I would like the ability to search for events by certain types, audio versus not. I wish they would get rid of old events. I wish they would really, and we actually had a call yesterday with LinkedIn product owners, if you will, that are doing this. And it was an hour-long call, and I know the drill, and you know the drill. They go there, talk about how great everything is. They talk about all this wonderful stuff, but if you're ever going to think you're going to get a comment or a question or answer from them, no, not happening. But it's, and that's the way they do it, and that's the way they've always done it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the problem. In a nutshell, that is it. They cannot take real world feedback or criticism. From their perspective, everything is viewed through rose-tinted lenses, the rose-tinted glasses approach. So it's everything is wonderful. We are wonderful, and we don't have any detractors. We don't have any criticism, or at least if there's a public forum for that, we are going to manage that to the extent that there will be no actual real real world intrusion coming through. It's a shame, really, that they've operated that way. They've always been a top down organization. They don't have a good track record of actually listening to their super fans. I mean, the way they treat LinkedIn trainers is shocking. They pretend that they don't exist, and it seems as if they hold their nose whenever they hear from us, or whenever they have to deal with us in some way. But the great example, well, there are two actually. The first one was many years ago. I was in the LinkedIn Group's product forum, a group that was set up by LinkedIn.
Me too.
And were you in that at all, or did you hear about it?
LinkedIn I actually went to LinkedIn headquarters
when
they did the group's relaunch, and I met Bryn there. I met a bunch of people there,
yeah.
and they were going to listen to all our suggestions. And this is great. This is great. We love it. We love it. And of course, we know the history.
Yeah, so that was my second example, right? That first example was this group, which became this very hot and heavy community in terms of the feedback we were giving, and we were getting really sort of interested in the whole group situation, and nothing but feedback. Some of it was negative, absolutely, and then we had that group pass through several hands. Over the course of a couple of years, people who were the official spokesperson, or the person who seemed to be dealing with people. But ultimately, I put this to-do list together where I aggregated all of the suggestions, and I had this long ass list, like I don't know, over 150 items on this list, and then all of a sudden, that group was shut down.
Which group was that? Was that
LinkedIn? It was called LinkedIn Group's Product Forum. Okay. And it was shut down, and like no warning, that was it. And of course, all of that work disappeared, right? All of that feedback. Many people in that group owners had put in so much time and effort, and that was a strong signal. It was okay. That's the way that it works. I see. LinkedIn will do that. They'll, it's the rented ground thing. But it's also, hey, we are in charge, and we really don't need your feedback. We're going to do what we want to do. All of these, in between messages. But that was significant. And the second thing, as you say, I don't know, 2 or 3 cities prior to COVID. Hey, we're going to relaunch groups, and it's going to be amazing. Lots of marketing spin, but we want to sit down with our members and hear from you and take on board all of your suggestions. So you and Bryn and many other people did that, and your time is precious, right? And what happened? Nothing, right? They did nothing at all with those focus groups. So what the is going? No. I mean, what I was thinking about this morning. Do they? I mean, because from their side, there's investment too in terms of people, resources, and time. Do they set this thing in motion, and then does someone like further up the chain decide, yeah, we don't want to go forward with this? I mean, it's like, well, why did you start the whole thing in the first place if you weren't actually going to follow through and then relaunch with these using that precious feedback? Why? And then no explanation, of course. Well, we didn't do this because they're unaccountable. Oh, they're not, or at least they're not accountable to the users, right? Maybe to Microsoft.
I'm sorry. Let me give a shout out to some people here. Sue Griffey, who I actually joined this morning. She was on Brenda's call. Brenda does her VIP thing from 10 to 11, and Brenda's really great. I have some local people too. Liam, great tune, Jaded. I would love to see Liam do an audio event and do like a whole singing thing, like a karaoke thing. So Liam, if you're still listening, that's definitely something worth doing. Brenda agreeing with you about the algorithm. I think one thing that changed in general, I think it probably had something to do with the start of Microsoft purchasing LinkedIn in terms of the methodology changing, the priorities changing, because all of a sudden it was part of a bigger universe, and the whole thing with resume builder, and now I have access to your information. I really think that's when things went down from the way you and I and others remember it, and I don't think it's coming back, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, There's so many things. I think the biggest problem with LinkedIn is, and this is a general criticism, is that they never, not never, but they don't explain stuff, right? When the problem is when they don't explain stuff, and we can talk about stuff. When they don't do that explanation, then there's a vacuum, and then people will jump in with their own explanations, which aren't always correct. I'll be the first to admit that I say stuff which I just like see from my page.
Mhm.
I don't know what the wide view is, but that's the basic problem, is this top down. We don't really need to explain ourselves. Thank you very much. And that's a problem for them, because there's so much misinformation out there. If you want to talk about links, for example, on content, the easiest way, I say easy, but the best way for them to satisfy users when it comes to adding links, right, that take you external over the walled garden, is to actually show, is to show definitively what is happening to your content, right? If LinkedIn, I'm sure LinkedIn has that data. Figure out a way to show that data, that information, right? How many people clicked on that link and took them over the garden? How many came back? If you can do that, if you can track that, and how many read your content, and then, what's the engagement ratio? If LinkedIn gave all of that info, and I'm sure, they're clever enough, they can figure it out way, then they would never, ever have people asking or querying or worried about links, external links in their content, because it's, okay, well, 50 people went and used that link. That's fine. I still had, 560 people actually click on it, and I had whatever. I had, I don't know, 10% engagement. That satisfies me. At least I know what's going on. But in a vacuum where the assumption, and I think this is correct, by the way, right? What platform would want people to go away from their platform and not come back? Right? That's the basic problem people have with links, is I don't want to risk my content distribution by adding a link. So therefore I'm going to smuggle it in. I'll smuggle it in after publication. I'll wait till it's published, then I'll put it into my body of my text, or I'll put it in comments, and then I can pin that comment so people can still click on it. But guess what? Maybe I'm not. I'm not getting done by the LinkedIn police. So they need to explain. They need to do a better job of explaining exactly what's going on. And I think it's BS, frankly. This we can't tell you what's going on because of the algorithm. We don't want people to game the algo. No, that's nonsense, right? If you weren't a monopoly and you were worried about people somehow trying to improve their content to work with the algo, even then, right, what is the response for not showing us exactly what happens whenever we publish? There's no excuse for that. If you want a publishing house and you want to run it properly, then you work with clarity and openness instead of these shady algorithms that cause nothing but doubt and concern. That's a problem, right? So change that. And I've posted about this, right? People are done with not knowing what goes on. It's like,
my issue is this: the product launches to come out. We already know what the product is. It's kind of blank backwards. If you are going to roll something out, mention what it is first, and not let us see it and have to deal with it for 3 or 4 months, because by then we've kind of we've done the testing for you. And I know we're all A/B testers and all that stuff, but the numbers are ridiculous. I don't know what an impression is. I don't know what this is. Give me numbers that make sense that I can understand.
Again, it's this arrogance about, hey, we don't have to explain ourselves. We'll launch a product when we launch it, or a new feature. We don't have to tell you when you'll get it. And we're running these mini tests, and we're going to do that in silence. We're going to do that in the darkness, and guess what? You'll be lucky when you get the feature. That's our gift to you. No, the gift is actually clarity and explaining, okay, Ken, you're going to get it on Tuesday. Andy, you're going to get it on Friday. And just do that. Just just switch it up entirely. Instead of this, operating in the darkness, in the shade, just proceed with clarity, and then you quickly have a different user sentiment in terms of people wanting to hang around on the platform more, big upping you, complimenting you as a as a platform, as a as an entity, rather than this, as I say, this well, what's going on here? All of this confusion, and I'm sure there are people within LinkedIn who are like laughing and say, look at what this person is saying. And I'm sure they're dying to come in and say, no, that's not actually what's happening. And here's the proof. I'm sure there are people within the organization that want to do that, but for whatever reason, it's not happening. It's not coming from the top.
See, I think the disconnect, LinkedIn, if you guys are listening, LinkedIn Help, Dan, whomever, and not our Dan Roth, we really want to help you guys. We want to make this a better product. We're not here to blow you guys up. And I think there's whether it's an insecurity or don't trust, but be honest, there are not 850 million plus users on this platform. Maybe email addresses, maybe they were at one time. All we want is transparency, because it makes everyone better. And so that's why I mentioned tilting and windmills. I'm a different Don Quixote than you. I'm a realist, but I believe that change can happen.
Yeah, I think at the at the C-suite level, they probably think that everything is fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they probably think that there's no reason to change the way that they do things. So their standard operating procedures are just fine, don't need to be changed. As far as they know, membership, or rather, active users are at the current level. Engagement is still increasing, and they really don't think, probably, that there's any reason to change the way they do business. That's my presumption. And so people like you and me and others that are like, let's call us the old hands, or people that have seen stuff and have decided, well, why can't you just? We are coming, like you say, we are coming from I think a good place of, we want things to improve, and I don't know, maybe this is just running and bashing our head against a brick wall, or as you've said, as we've said, tilting it at windmills, and just it being a complete waste of time.
I think the advantage, if there is an advantage, is that every time the changes come up, people ask us for help, because they're seeing something that's not there.
That's what I meant about the vacuum, is that, sure, the reason that there are so many LinkedIn trainers out there with differing opinions, but also offering a service, is that LinkedIn do a very bad job of explaining stuff. Particularly, as you say, things change all the time. So we therefore become this font of knowledge, and hopefully it's correct, right? Hopefully the information that we're giving and the advice that we're giving is rational and relevant.
I think that the best way I can describe my time on LinkedIn is, it's challenging. It can be fun. It could be unnerving, but I never know when I go to the platform every day. And you and I have both been put in jail, I'm sure, at different times. You've never been in jail.
No, I've early on, it depends on your definition of jail. So yeah. Early on, I've been in invite jail. So I've sent too many, but this was years ago. I've sent too many, and I was told to cool my jets.
Right.
And so I was stopped from inviting for a while, until I apologized, saw the error of my ways, and then I was swiftly, I was removed from jail. But in terms of suspension, if that's what you mean by jail, I have never been suspended ever. So that's, which I think is cool, right? Because I'm following the rules. I have had content censored. So I had a comment, and I was talking about Kinder cream eggs, and I was talking about how they're banned in the US, but not in Canada. And there was a back and forth discussion, and I said the law is an ass. So ASS, as in donkey,
Right.
not the rude one. And for that, that comment was censored with red ink. And I thought nothing of it at the time. I thought, oh, whatever, that's stupid. That's just their algo, their word police algo or bot going crazy. And I didn't think anything of it. And then someone at LinkedIn told me, when I asked them about why I wasn't getting access to LinkedIn Live, which I thought was weird, and they said, oh yeah, it's because you had that content censored, and you've got to be a good boy or girl, and have never broken the rules to get at that time to get access to LinkedIn Live. So it was only when I knew that I then complained again by content. And I said, look, this is why I didn't get LinkedIn Live. And as soon as I did that, I got access. So if I never had that inside person tell me, then I would never have got LinkedIn Live, or perhaps it would have taken me much longer.
Well,
so in that sense, yeah, I was in jail for comments and I was in jail for invites back in the day, but never been suspended.
Well, I was in jail for invites when I was starting out, because what did I know as someone in job search, sending out invites to every Tom, Dick, and Harry and all that, and who knows. But then there was a thing called SWAM. I don't know if you remember site-wide automated moderation.
My buddy invented that.
Really?
He came up with that. I forget his name now, but he invented the whole acronym SWAM.
Because I was SWAMmed many times.
Yeah. So this was the situation where it was easy for you to put content in multiple groups, and LinkedIn decided that was spamming. So it was site-wide auto moderation.
Moderation, I think, or something.
Yeah, and that was an issue, and people did get suspended temporarily for that. Exactly.
But I was actually targeted by someone else in one of my groups.
That's right.
I actually found out later on who the person was by trial and error.
Wow.
And that was, we had a personal disagreement which had nothing to do with LinkedIn. What it came down to, and I can say now we're not connected, is he got upset that I wouldn't do one of his presentations for him, for his group. And we were in the same group, so he just called me out. And I've since that person, I don't even know where he is now. People in New Jersey probably can guess who that person is.
Right.
And that's when I kind of said to myself, "This is ridiculous, LinkedIn."
SWAM was definitely something that could be manipulated by enemies, people that didn't want you to succeed, and that was a problem with that method, which LinkedIn, to their credit, did. They once they realized that was happening, they did fix it or stop.
I remember when Alex Freund actually got knocked off LinkedIn. Alex Freund is one of our interview coaches here, and he had no idea why. So he did reach out to me, and it turns out it was because he had something besides his name in the title, and they wanted to take off. See, if you know what the rules are, and the rules are kept in place, not hit or miss. I mean, what's working for one is not another. And I love Leah Turner to death.
Yeah, I've never heard of her. I've heard about her. I'm kidding.
No.
Of course I have. Yeah, Leah's fantastic.
I mean, that whole thing. I mean,
the rules have to be clear for sure. LinkedIn have simplified those significantly, which helps. And then if you are suspended, then minimum they need to explain why, so you can take steps to make sure that you're in compliance. So as long as that's done, I don't have any problem with the way they do that. And it needs to be clear. I mean, this is just basic stuff. If they're gonna have rules which they implement, then there has to be a reason. There has to be a clear reason, so that the user can then rectify and then get back on the platform.
I wonder about that story that came out that LinkedIn apparently had access 20,000 users for some study that they were doing based on job search. And I said to myself, where in the terms and conditions did LinkedIn get the authorization to do that? And honestly, I read all of them. I honestly couldn't figure out where, but that's what they hide behind.
Yeah. So I mean, they can do whatever they want with our data, and I'm pretty sure it's it's either explicit or implied in the user agreement, without a doubt. So yeah, this is the bargain. This is the bargain that early on, back in the day, we get this free service, and we are the product. They get to use all of our data however they want. They can sell it, and we are giving them current data all of the time, which is incredibly valuable to various entities, and that's the deal. And it's not a great deal for us. And it's not just LinkedIn; it's other socials. And I think legislation will eventually turn the table on that. Will eventually put us in charge of our own data, and we can decide who gets it, who doesn't, or indeed we may even get paid for sharing our data. I think that's eventually where we'll get to.
Guess who just joined us?
Leah Turner. Yes. Why did you mention Leah's name? What did you say?
Why did I mention her name?
Yeah, you brought her up. I didn't.
She's the best, because
she is the best.
And I don't remember exactly how long there was a whole discussion about they took her off the platform, and I believe there's an article written about her in England about her keeping rainbow in her name. I mean, I mean, when we were all on Clubhouse, it was a great conversation, and I've never, yes, I'm like Beetlejuice, and I've never. I mean, I loved when we were able to chat on Clubhouse, and Leah is such an amazing person and put so much time and effort into what she did. And I think one of the things I like to say about, in general, I may not know who all of you are, and may not have met you all in real life, but I consider you part of my networking family in that way, because we share and respect each other way so much.
It's definitely a family. Absolutely. I see lots of people in comments that I recognize. Liam is talking about blockchain. Dude, did you see the NFTs? The NFT market has dropped entirely.
I know, Liam is really big into NFTs, and I have to admit, I'm kind of clueless about it all. But
so is he. But it doesn't stop him.
Oh, really?
I'm kidding.
I think even when we first met, and I said this to Brenda, and I'll say it to you, I was scared to death to reach out to you. Brenda knows the story. I was so scared.
So you should, so you should have been. I would have been scared.
What did I know? But taking that first step, I mean, I've learned so much from different people here. I think, we can talk about, I mean, even the whole thing with pods and things and the automation and all that stuff that goes on. We're fighting a losing battle in some ways, but sometimes I like to tweak people, with what they do. I mean, my favorite is O'Shea, can you see? And we kind of know who we're talking about there and all that stuff. If you don't have a sense of humor about it, you're going to go crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah. For sure. Try and enjoy whatever you're doing and have a laugh, either at your own expense or at others.
That's true. Your profile was really intimidating. That profile
I might put it back up. I think I was just squinting because the sun was in my eyes, and I thought, yeah, that'll do. And it fitted with my headline at the time, where I was essentially saying that everyone's profile is crap, or most of them were pretty boring. I think that's the thing that's missing. And missing, I don't mean, from everyone, because there are some people that do it very well, but I think the creativity is what I miss seeing most on LinkedIn. Maybe I've seen so many different posts now that it's like, yeah, that's like, that's boring. And I miss the, in your face, make me think, super creative, super talented ways of communicating. And I think that's my problem with personal content, is it's kind of like a conversational style where it's just like, yeah, I don't want to talk. Yeah. And by talk is I don't want to read your content if it's just, hey, let's have a chit chat about this, and this is what I did the other day, and it's like, give me something new, give me something different, titillate me, entertain me, educate me, do all of that good stuff instead of chit chat. And
do most people want to be educated, or have we become so dumbed down that people like to see?
Yeah. So this is the thing. I don't care about everyone else. I don't care what anyone else thinks. It's me. If you're not doing it for me, then I'm out. And of course that's selfish and it's ridiculous, but my job is not to be a curator for other people's tastes and interests. That's why I've always been befuddled by questions about who is your ideal client. No, the ideal client is the one that chooses to work with me. I don't care about anything in the funnel until it actually hits my inbox and they're ready to work on their LinkedIn strategy. If I ain't worried about what's coming in or what's in my funnel currently, I'd never get any work done. So this question about who is your ideal customer, who cares? It's like, that's stupid. Your ideal customer can be anyone. They could be doing anything in their lives. They could come from any kind of job, any kind of background, any part of the world. As long as they are paying you, that's my ideal customer. There's so much garbage on LinkedIn these days.
I know. And I think as much as you want to train the algorithm, as much as you want to block stuff, it's like you're fighting a losing battle at times. And there are times, I mean, there's some really great content out there. I can't find it all. I wish there was some way to do it better, but this is unfortunately what we've been given. And I say,
you think,
it should be better.
No, you would think, Ken, that with the kinds of brains, the kind of data science nerdiness that are behind dwell time, you would think that it wouldn't be too much of a stretch for them to give us, right, let us discover or push, right, the kind of content that we 9 times out of 10 would be interested in, A, reading, and B, engaging on. How difficult can that be?
It's not, because you could set that up in your settings extremely easily. Because I mean, it frustrates me as a former developer that this is not as hard to do as they're making it out to be.
They don't even appear to be trying, right? Yeah. What do we have? We have the feed, and the feed is this, this higgledy-piggledy mishmash of content from people that we're connected with, people that we've engaged with recently or in the past, or perhaps messaged. Then throw in some advertising, which is a complete waste of time. It's pointless. And then, other stuff. And by the way, our scrolling attention is what? Maybe 30 to 40 seconds, and then we're out. So you better hit us with some good stuff in there. And by good stuff, you can't tell me that there isn't an algo out there that is capable, right, of, let's say Andy doesn't want to see any postal content today. Let's say he wants something on submarines, or he wants something on that study that you mentioned, where LinkedIn basically looked at 20,000 people and decided, made some. It was a very interesting study, by the way. It wasn't our first connection, so our second degrees that actually help us to land and do all that good stuff, right? Maybe that's what Andy wants to see, and then to keep testing, right? To keep A/B testing, and then improve that feed experience every time, instead of the garbage and the LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn will in your viewer history, right? People who have viewed your page, they have the gall to say this person is interesting. What does that mean? Well, here you have a filter of interesting people. What interesting in what way? You're not even trying to define that. It's so lazy and useless.
I'm going to go even a different way. Give me the opportunity to personalize my profile page the way I want to, the feed the way I want to. Maybe I don't want to see everything in the same way. Maybe I want to move things around. Maybe I want to change it. That's like a
Yeah.
perfect A/B test. Let people have the opportunity to test different things.
Yeah.
If
No.
we're really guinea pigs, which we
Yes.
really are, then
Yes.
let us be real guinea pigs.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's definitely, it's a fire hose approach right now. There apparently, there are, tabs coming where you can see video content, newsletters. I forget what the other two are. So that's certainly an improvement. But as I say, these data scientists, they need to get off up their and they need to start getting us relevant, data rich or data led content that will impress us every time. So I would like a feed where I'm engrossed, right? So it gets more than 40 seconds of my attention, and it gets clicks. That's when the feed is working, and that's why I'm quite happy to take that holiday, quite happy to take a break of whatever 3 months or so, and I'll maybe check in every now and again, see what's going on, but I won't be posting, I won't be engaging on anything, and so therefore you've lost me as a contributor, LinkedIn. Now, if that happens on scale, right? If you've got all of these people that were pro content, perhaps even daily content, if they decide to put down their tools, and what happens then, right? So you get more mediocre, more beige content, and then you get people just deciding, this is not for me. I mean, apart from the people that need to parachute in and need LinkedIn to do something for them, if you piss off, or if you bore the diehard fans, the people that have gone on the platform and spent a huge amount of time already, if you disenfranchise them, that then becomes a problem.
So Ryan, if you're listening to this, at some point, Andy and I come in peace. We want to make this right. If we,
well, how much is your consulting rate? Mine's $275 an hour.
Mine's about that too, actually. And I think
Yeah.
we have to figure out. I mean, that's the thing, is like, if you want to, we really need to get paid for our time. I mean, we're not giving it away for free.
Yeah, I might also have to send them past due invoices.
Good idea, actually. I mean, you tried to start that whole, we should be paid for our time and our expertise. I mean, we're what, I don't want to puff my chest too much, but we have all made this platform as engaging as it is for a lot of people.
Well, you mentioned the families. So there are obviously many different families of users that,
right.
Flock together, and they talk. They obviously talk, and they are always judging, certainly giving feedback. Sometimes they'll do it in posts. That's what I've been getting a lot recently is, wow, Andy, you're really brave, giving this. I mean, you're really giving it to them, and you're not holding back. And I think that's part of my brand. It's always been me as an independent professional saying, hey, this is not good. This needs to improve.
Yeah,
and if it doesn't get reach, then it doesn't get reach. I don't really care about that. And I think there are so many people out there that would, I think, be honest and give their feedback, their unbiased and honest feedback, but they're worried about what it might do to their distribution, and I think that's probably a legit concern. But if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't be doing. I think I wouldn't be doing right by the people in my family, the people that are saying the same things to me and saying, Andy, this is no good. And so whenever I put a post out there which doesn't get reach, I always do think, at least there are people out there that are nodding and saying he's right.
I think for me, we call it fetching in our religion. In Yiddish, it's like complaining about something. It's no different.
Yeah.
I just think that I look at it from there. I want LinkedIn to think I'm looking to make this as a positive thing. My whole like building of windmills, but I'm a realist, and I really, I will never give up. But I'm a realist in what I can accomplish, even if all of us got together.
Yeah, it's not kvetching for the sake of kvetching. It's actually, coming from a good place where, look, we've got experience. We've had experience on the platform, possibly more experience than some of the people that are in charge of the products or features. So why not? Why not? Why not plumb into that? Why not use that? And if you can change things, then change it. If you can't, then at least say why.
Why? Tell us
Right?
why. Because that's the thing.
Yes.
If you have technical restraints, which you may look, it may be spaghetti coded, it may be on too many servers, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And if that's the limitation. You may not want to say it in that way to us, but if there's a limitation, at least it helps us manage our expectations.
And it's not like another monopoly is going to come along and challenge you, right? So you have absolutely, there's no danger of you losing your primacy,
right?
By admitting that yes, some things are not good on this platform, and some things we can't change because of whether it's technical, whether it's the infrastructure.
Right.
We have to deal with what we have. But imagine a situation where before they even decided to plan or structure LinkedIn audio, they got some, clearly, LinkedIn super fans from Clubhouse. They can spot them and then put them on a secret panel, secret by which I mean, get them to sign something to say that, they won't talk out of house. Mm-hmm. And then just ask them, look, how should it be structured? What should it do? What should it look like? Does it need to be fast and easy? Let's talk about discoverability. Let's talk about how we publicize audio rooms. What other features do Clubhouse not have that we can maybe, and then address the fact that yes, it's desktop and it's app, and so and all of that good stuff. Why couldn't they have done that to have a much better, stronger product that a lot of people would be using instead of doing it in-house and structuring it as an event? I mean, why is it not in groups? Why did they do that?
I said that from the very beginning. I said
it's weird.
Infrastructure of groups, because then you don't have to worry about who's going in. You have a certain amount of reason to make groups better. But again, I mean, exhale.
Yeah, it's really strange, but yeah, absolutely, the door is open. If they want to talk to us,
look, and I've signed an NDA from LinkedIn when I went to the group's launch. Not that it mattered at all. Right. I had to sign it and all that stuff, and I'll sign one again. I'll promise to be quiet and secret and not post it there.
Yeah, my prediction is they'll continue to do what they're doing. They'll use that SOP, standard operating procedure, because they really feel they don't have to. Yeah. Business-wise, everything is going great guns. They've got deep coffers, and user sentiment is not something that's important to them, because they'll always get people coming in their time of need. And the people that are producing content, hey, it's content. We don't care if it's crap content, right? If it's beige. As long as they're producing content, that's all that matters. We really don't care about the quality, and we don't care about the old hands leaving or going quiet suddenly.
Well, right.
I think that's the approach so far.
They know they have a monopoly. They know that no one's really going to be able to build a bigger, better mousetrap. They may take little snippets out of it, so they come from that place. So
until Twitter. Until Twitter.
Well, or something else. Yeah.
So if Elon Musk has his way, and he had this huge plan for X, this X website, he wanted PayPal to be so much more than it became, and he was really disappointed with that. And then he just took his money and he left. And but if he tries to revisit X, using Twitter, that could be very interesting, particularly if he's interested in making it community-based. And this payment method portal, whatever you want to call it, and indeed it could be, I guess, it could be meta verse somehow. So that's interesting, because I think a lot of people on LinkedIn are kind of unhappy that there's no real way to niche. There's no way to build your own tribe. This nonsense between followers and actual, people that actually get to follow your content. That's BS. Now, let's say Twitter actually says, okay, yeah, we'll let you rapidly build up a tribe, and there'll be no algo inserting itself between you and that tribe, so you get unfettered access to the people. I would, in a heartbeat, I would start putting all of my content over on Twitter if I can access all of my followers. And then the question is, well, what kind of content would it be? Because it wouldn't be LinkedIn centric anymore. But would I use it, as a payment place as well? Just like, what's the Chinese app that does all of that? That's his model. I forget the name of the Chinese app. WeChat. It could be WeChat or something like that. But it does it. This Chinese app does everything, and that's why it's hugely popular in China. And I think that's his model. That's what he wants to do. So that'll be interesting, and perhaps that might force LinkedIn to, for example, give us direct access to the people that want to follow us but can't.
So Andy, I want to thank WeChat. I want to thank you very much for chatting with me today. I look forward to getting back together with the breakfast, the LinkedIn International folk. I mean, I don't know if you guys still do this or not.
We don't.
What?
We don't.
We need to do it once in a while, because I used to look forward to that 8 in the morning, 8:30 in the morning with Ariel and everyone else, and should definitely do that again. I want to thank everyone today for attending. Have a great day, everyone. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks for having me, Ken.
No problem. Have a great day.
Take care, bud.